So after quite a lot of very technical talks, and you heard a lot about the term breed. So what we did together as a group, we looked at the breed concept, and so because breed concept, you heard quite a lot today already, is widely used and accepted in animal breeding. But it's a concept that's important for the technical management to assign animals to a specific breed, but it looks also into the governance of animal genetic resources. So think of breeders' association. They have a very strong identification to their specific breed. But we already heard from previous speakers also that there are different breed definitions, so there's not one standard, even though we use very frequently the term breed. So, and we heard today about new technologies, new methods to look into diversity, genetic diversity. We did not touch yet gene editing, etc. So the question is also, is this concept of having a breed still a valid one, or should we get rid of the term? So what we aimed in this very small study, we said, okay, let's reach out to the broad audience out there, like maybe you actually also participated in this online survey, and see what people think about the breed concept. And look, is this still valid what we are using, or should we change the way we are talking about breeds? So as I said, we designed an online survey, and it was sent out via .NET, or also inviting personal contacts, colleagues to look at the questions. And so we had in total 30 statements, and we looked at 5 main topics. And I will go briefly then in the results section, looking what were the results of these 5 topics. So we had looking into how important is phenotype, what do people think about registration of animals and breeds, what are opinions on using genomics, crossbreeding or composite breeds, and also the last point was looking into gene editing. So how does this survey work? You have a specific statement, and I will show you in a minute what I mean by statement. And then the participants could say, I fully agree. So I had a different options to respond to that statement, if the person fully agrees or fully disagrees or don't know, doesn't have an opinion on a specific question. So keep in mind when I present my results today, that whatever the results are, these are opinions, statements, perceptions of individual people. It's not a final result saying, okay, we should go this way. So just to give you an idea who participated, so at the end we had 186 persons who completed all the 30 statements. We had the largest share coming from Europe, followed by Sub-Saharan Africa, and then here this is North America and Latin America, South America, and then other regions. So we had a quite fair distribution across regions. When you look at who took part in the survey, we see definitely a very strong bias that a large number of our participants were scientists from a university and the research organizations, our farmers, breeders, organizations, breed companies, etc., were less represented in the study. So we also have to keep in mind who actually answered the different questions. So now coming to these statements, what you see on the bottom of my screen are the 7 statements that we did for phenotypes. So there was like just to illustrate, we asked we made the statement, breed is a cultural construct. And then people could say, I fully disagree or I fully agree with this statement. And so looking at summarizing, what we see is that the majority of people agree that looking at phenotype, yes, is important, but it's not sufficient to determine a breed. Remember what Jack just presented, the question of assigning an animal to a breed. They also include looking at the phenotype, combining with genetic information. So people agree that a breed has an agreed set of these phenotypic characteristics, and they are also shown in their offspring, that animals share a specific adaptation or unique traits, are kept in a similar environment, share common production system. Or if breed is a cultural construct, like defined by people more or less, there are still a lot of people agreed, but to a less extent than to other statements. But there was a very common sense of saying, okay, we should avoid breeding for extreme characteristics that are harmful to the animal health or animal welfare. The next block was on registration, recognition of breeds. There was a strong wish to formally register animals in herd books, so that it's not enough just to have oral information at hand. To recognize a breed, a new breed, there has to be a good justification. They have to be distinct from other breeds, already existing breeds. There was also the idea, or many of the people participating said it's important that breeds are first recognized at national level before they are actually recognized also at international level. Maybe I hope all of you know DADIS. So this is the Domestic Animal Diversity Information System hosted by FAO, where all countries, all member states of FAO can register their animals. And if you don't know DADIS, so I highly encourage you to have a look at DADIS. You find breeds from different species, different countries, very interesting information that you can see there. But so the request was here that only formally recognized breeds should go into DADIS. Quite a lot of participants also said we should look on an internationally recognized set of criteria for defining breeds. That was seen very positive. The question we can discuss maybe later is this, how easy would that be to actually implement? And also, again, formalization, breeders' organization were seen very positively by the participants. On the block for genomics, we had 5 questions, or 5 statements to be correct. And the majority of the answer said the breed concept is still a valid concept, even though we have new tools, so it's not outdated. I think it's very hard for us being taught that about the breed concept, so maybe it's also hard to think of what do we do if we don't have breeds. Genomic tools are seen as very relevant. I mean, we just saw from the previous speakers the wonderful methods that you can use for doing quite a lot of interesting stuff. So define breed authenticity, check breeds in different regions, how similar are they, assign animals to a breed, just to mention some of these approaches. But also there was, again, a lot of ideas coming forward to look into using genomic monitoring also for purity of breeds, diversity, genetic load. So the negative harmful traits in a population. So using genomics as a tool to manage our breeds. The block on crossbreeding, we had 4 statements. Most of our participants said yes, crossbreeding is a viable strategy to develop new breeds. So then we said, okay, when can you assign a breed in studies? So then we most agreed that at least 3 generations of interseminating has to be done before you can include it in studies. Again, monitoring was seen very important to actually see if the composition is actually there that you intend. But again, even though very positive on crossbreeding, there was also quite a call for maximize utilization of already existing breeds instead of going for new breed. And the last block on gene editing, we had again some statements, and that block was the block where we had the most. You see there is a gray bar here that always says, I don't know, I have no opinion. And the gene editing block was the block where most of our participants had obviously are not so familiar with the technology as it's a new one. So, but there was an agreement that gene editing should be controlled and there have to be national laws and they have to be followed. Editing only a few variants doesn't change the breed identity was agreed by most people, but there is also there came already some doubts, is that true or not? There was general agreement that animals should be declared, so we have to it should be transparent that animals are edited. We also had a statement that gene editing should follow the Nagoya Protocol, and there we had the most answers, or the highest proportion of people who were not familiar with the Nagoya Protocol, even though the protocol was adopted in the year 2010 and is a supplement to the Convention on Biological Diversity. And the Nagoya Protocol is basically a protocol to manage the access and benefit sharing process. So who can benefit and how do we share the positive outcomes of using genetic diversity? So obviously there was not enough knowledge about what the Nagoya Protocol actually is all about. So just very briefly to wrap up, the breed concept is not outdated. According to our participants, there was a strong wish for formal regulations by national and international laws. Genomics is seen as a very powerful tool for having different, for different questions that we have to look at. Gene editing, again, should be regulated and declared, but there were some uncertainties how to deal with gene editing in the the livestock breeding sector. And with this, but again, these are the outcomes of a survey, these are opinions of individual people, and we still are working on the paper to look into what implications that has actually when we follow how can we deal with these opinions in the future. So with this one, I would like to say thank you.